I've mentioned before that Vasishta doesn't seem to be speaking with one voice all the time. It seems that different minds are speaking through Vasishta. And this chapter 78, I think, illustrates this very well. Vasishta continued, O Ram, just as when a firebrand is swung around, an illusory circle of fire is formed, there is an illusory appearance of the world due to the vibration that arises in consciousness. This tells us nothing. The illusory nature of the world has got nothing to do with that of a swinging firebrand. And we've got here this magic word, vibration. We love this story of vibrations, rays of creation, and different vibratory rays giving us different levels or different vibrations of creation, and we've got to up the level of the vibration of our consciousness to get to enlightenment. These are great stories, lovely stories, and if you're into these stories, that's great and good luck to you. But we're not interested in stories here. But we're being sold a story in this chapter. Vibration and consciousness are inseparably one, like the whiteness of snow, the oil in the sesame seed, the fragrance of the flower, and the heat of fire. Their description as distinct categories is an error. This is the first time that vibration has been mentioned in the Yoga Vasishta. Mind and movement of thought are inseparable, and the cessation of one is the cessation of both. And that's true. Mind and movement of thought are inseparable. Now what we're going to get here is a teaching which, or a practice which, stops movement of thought. It's the practice of pranayama. And it reveals a total misunderstanding of the nature of thought and the nature of self-enquiry. It's not thinking that's the enemy here. It's not the thinking mind that's the enemy. It's the conceptualizing mind that's hoodwinked us. When that subtlety is not appreciated, people think, oh, we've got to stop thinking. The enlightened person is not somebody who walks around with no thoughts in their head. The enlightened person is somebody who knows how to use thoughts, who knows how to use concepts, but doesn't get hijacked by them. Their attention doesn't get hijacked by them. They don't believe in them as reality. That's what self-enquiry deals with. Pranayama here is about making the mind blank. It's about stilling the mind. It's about perhaps getting into a higher state of consciousness, which is great if you like that sort of thing. O Ram, there are two ways in which this cessation can be achieved. One is the way of yoga, which involves the restraint of the movement of thought, and the other is the way of knowledge, which involves the right knowledge of truth. So there's two ways apparently. No, there's not. There's only the second way, the right knowledge of truth. And this has been stated often enough. Way back in chapter 13 of section 5, we're told, if one engages oneself in constant self-enquiry and sees the ever-changing nature of the world, in due time one will attain self-knowledge. Neither God, nor rites and rituals, nor any action, nor wealth, nor relatives are of any use in this. To those who are afraid of the world illusion, self-effort, as self-enquiry alone, is capable of bringing about self-knowledge. Pray, do not follow the teachings of those deluded ones who depend upon gods, various rites and routine actions, and such other perverse practices. And it specifically does target pranayama. I'll address that though in the next chapter. So here we're being sold pranayama. In this body, that energy, literally air, which circulates in the energy channels, nadi literally means channel of motion, not necessarily a nerve though, for convenience it may be called so. So Swami Venkatesananda is trying to give a non-physiological basis for this. It's normally called nerves and regarded as psychic nerves. That energy which circulates in the energy channels is known as prana. In accordance with its diverse functions in the body, it is also known by the names apana, etc. This prana is indistinguishably united with the mind. In fact, the consciousness that tends towards sinking on account of the movement of prana is known as the mind. Movement of thought in the mind arises from the movement of prana, and movement of prana arises because of the movement of thought in consciousness. They thus form a cycle of mutual dependence, like waves and movements of currents in water. So here we're being told that the movement of the mind is to do with movement of prana. In fact, they're interdependent. But this is a notion, this is a belief. You might believe in prana, you might do pranayama, that's great, but it's got nothing to do with self-enquiry. If you want to still the mind, if you want to stop the mind, then do pranayama. But that's not what self-enquiry is about. And here we've got a strange sentence. The wise ones declare that the mind is caused by the movement of prana, and hence by the restraint of the prana, the mind becomes quiescent. So we've got now a theory about quietening the mind. We've been told here that our goal or our aims can be realized by the restraint of prana, and the mind becomes quiescent. But we're told here that the wise ones declare that the mind is caused by the movement of prana. Why is Vasishta referring to the wise ones? Vasishta was created directly by Brahma in order to counteract the ignorant tendencies of the mind. So why is Vasishta actually giving us second-hand knowledge when he has been created by Brahma to create scripture himself? So it's saying here that when the mind abandons the movement of thought, the appearance of the world illusion ceases. The movement of prana is arrested at the moment when all hopes and desires come to an end in one's heart through the earnest practice of the precepts of the scriptures and sages. It's only by self-enquiry, not by practicing precepts. That's been established. And by the cultivation of dispassion in previous lifespans, or through endeavouring to practice contemplation or meditation and reaching a stage of devotion to a single truth in a single-minded way. Well, this is of no help whatsoever. So next we've got some details or a brief outline of the practice of pranayama. But I'm not going to read it. If you're interested in it, you can read the text. There's really no point in me reading it.